Hello, welcome back. So in this part and the next part, we will be discussing about the IS code provisions for the torsional design. So before we talk about it, there will be two terms that will be used in the IS code design. One is the equivalent shear and the second one is the equivalent bending moment. Basically the equivalent shear and equivalent bending moment, these are actually the for the simplification, what we do is we add the effect of torsional moment into two parts. One along with the function of shear and along with the function of bending moment. So the bending moment which a beam is subjected to, we add some effect of torsional moment and then the product is known as equivalent bending moment. Similarly, for the shear force, we add the effect of torsional moment and called it as equivalent shear force. Now, the formula for equivalent shear force and equivalent bending moment is given in the IS code. So we will now talk about that. So first of all, we will talk about the equivalent shear force. Now, what is equivalent shear force? The combined effect of the actual shear force and the torsion. It is known as the equivalent shear, and it can be determined from a empirical relation which is given in the IS code also. So if you refer to this clause, you will find the relation for uh, the formula for the VE. So VE is represented as, the equivalent shear force can be represented as VE. So the formula for VE is this one. So VE is equals to VU plus 1.6 times of T by B. VU is the factored shear force. T is the torsional moment acting in the beam. So as you can see in the formula, it is the effect of torsion is added to the shear force and the final product is VE, which is called the equivalent shear force. So VE is the equivalent shear force, VU is the shear force, T is the torsional moment, and B is the width of beam. Now, when we calculate the equivalent shear force, which is acting on a cross section of beam, for example, this is the cross section of beam. So at this cross section, total equivalent shear force is acting across the section. Okay, and as you can see, it is acting across over the total cross sectional area. If we want to find out force per unit cross sectional area, in that case we call it as equivalent nominal shear stress. So basically the value of VE per unit cross sectional area is known as tau VE. So that is the actual action on the beam. So how do we find out tau VE? The formula for tau VE is again given in the clause. So you can refer to the clause and you can find the formula. So tau VE is basically the force per unit cross sectional area. So that is the tau VE, which is called nominal shear stress, equivalent nominal shear stress. Now, this is, as I said, that this is actually the action of load per unit area. Now this action is comprising the shear force and the effect of torsion. And for the design purpose, we compare this tau VE value with the shear strength of the beam. So the shear strength of beam are basically of two types. One is tau C max. Tau C max is the maximum shear strength of concrete. And the second one is tau C. Tau C is the permissible shear strength of the concrete. So we will compare this value tau VE with these two value, and then we will find out what is the meaning of that, whether it is more than this value, whether it is less than this value. So how do we interpret this value, that we will see now. So in first case, IS code has recommended that the value of tau VE shall not exceed the value of tau C max. In any case, tau VE should always be less than tau C max. So that is what this statement is saying. Now, by chance, if tau VE is exceeding tau C max, what will happen? In that case, if we read the second statement, it says if it exceeds the section, the cross section of the beam should be redesigned by increasing the concrete area or grade. So say this is the cross section of the beam. So in that case, if tau C max is less than tau VE, then what we have to do is we have to increase the area of cross section of this beam. So preferably we increase the depth. So generally we have to increase the depth, then again checking that. So we have to increase the cross-sectional area of the beam until this condition met, which is tau VE is less than tau C max. Or in other way, what we can do is we can increase the grade of concrete also. So if we are using M20 grade of concrete, in that case, if it is failing, then we can use M25 grade of concrete. So that basically there are two ways. Either we increase the cross-sectional area of the beam or the grade of area. I mean the grade of concrete. Now then we have the third statement. It says that if the equivalent nominal shear stress tau VE does not exceed tau C. So in the first two statements, we have compared tau VE with the tau C max. So after comparing them, we will compare this tau VE with the permissible shear strength of the beam. Now we need to remember that tau C is basically the fraction of tau C max. So therefore tau C will always be less than tau C max. So once we compare that, and if it is satisfied, then we compare tau VE with the tau C to check whether torsional reinforcement is required or not. So it says if the value of tau VE does not exceed tau C. Now tau C can be calculated using the table 19 of IS code. Then what we do is we provide minimum shear reinforcement in the form of stirrups. So if the value of tau VE is less than tau C, then we provide minimum shear reinforcement as recommended by the IS code. So the minimum for the formula of calculating minimum shear reinforcement, that is also being provided in the IS code. So minimum shear reinforcement can be, I mean this formula can be accessed from I think page number 49 as the clause minimum shear reinforcement. So you can access this formula from this page. So using this formula, we can calculate the minimum shear reinforcement. Now in this ASV is the cross-sectional area of the stirrup leg. So basically we provide stirrups in the form of like this. And these vertical lines, they are actually called the legs of shear, legs of stirrups. So in this stirrup, generally we have two legs in the stirrup. So cross-sectional area of these two legs is known as ASV. SV is the spacing of the stirrups, B is the width of beam, Fy is the yield strength of the reinforcement bar. Now, in the third case, it was if tau V is less than tau C, then we provide minimum shear reinforcement. Now, what if the value of tau VE is more than tau C? What we do then? In that case, it says if the value of tau VE is exceeding the value of tau C given in the table 19, then also it should confirm that it is less than tau C max. So in that case, what we will be doing is we have to provide torsional reinforcement in the form of longitudinal as well as transverse reinforcement. So in the beam, this reinforcement, the reinforcement when we provide the reinforcement along the length of beam, it is called the longitudinal reinforcement. And when we provide the stirrups like this, they are basically called the transverse reinforcement. So when case 4 occurs, we have to provide reinforcement in the form of longitudinal reinforcement as well as the transverse reinforcement. So that is the case here. Now, considering that we have case 4, what we have to do next? In that case, we have to design longitudinal and transverse reinforcement. So now we will see how do we design longitudinal and transverse reinforcement. So basically this is the case. When this case will occur that tau v e is more than tau c but less than tau c max, then we provide longitudinal as well as transverse reinforcement. So now we will see what reinforcement we provide for the torsion. Now we will now refer to this clause and this clause for further information about the reinforcement. Now, first of all, as I said, reinforcement for torsion shall be providing in the form of longitudinal and transverse. So first we will talk about the longitudinal reinforcement. So all the formulas related to longitudinal reinforcement is given in this clause 41.4.2. So you can refer to this clause of the IS code. Now, longitudinal reinforcement is basically provided for the equivalent bending moment. So in the first step we have seen, this is second step actually, in the first step we have seen the application of equivalent shear force. Now in the second step we will see the application of equivalent bending moment. Now equivalent bending moment is represented as ME1. So this equivalent bending moment is again consisting the effect of torsional moment and the normal bending moment. So again I am showing you so that you can imagine. Say for example, this is the beam section. So if it is bending like this, so this is because of MU, which is the normal bending moment. Now if this beam is twisting like this because of the torsion moment about this, in that case it is occurring because of the effect of torsional moment. So MT and MU is the normal moment, MT is the torsional moment. So basically ME1 is basically the summation of MU and MT. Okay. Now as I said, MU is the bending moment at the cross section, and MT, the value of MT is TU bracket 1 plus D by B upon 1.7. So this formula can also be accessed from this clause. So you can refer to this to get the value of MT. In this, TU is the torsional moment. And D is the overall depth, B is the breadth of beam. Now also we have to see whether MT is more than MU or less than MU. By chance, if this MT value is more than the value of MU, then we have to provide longitudinal reinforcement on the compression phase also. So till now we were talking about this longitudinal reinforcement as the tension reinforcement. So we will provide tension reinforcement when MT is less than MU. So first we have to compare this. Okay. So if MT is less than MU, then only tension reinforcement will be provided. If by chance MT is more than MU, in that case we have to provide reinforcement on the compression phase also. So if this is the beam, this is the tension reinforcement for this case, and we have to provide compression reinforcement if this case occurs. So that is what this green statement is explaining. Now, for how much moment we need to provide this reinforcement? For that, it will be known as ME2. So ME2 is nothing but the difference of MT and MU. Only in this case, if MT is more than MU, then how much it is more than MU? So that is the difference of ME2. So ME2 can be calculated as the difference of MT and ME. So the ME2 will be considered as acting in the opposite sense. So ME1, we will be considering that the effect of ME1 is sagging, but the effect of ME2 we will consider that this as hogging, and therefore we will provide reinforcement on the compression phase. Basically, this is again related to the mode failure. Okay, in ME1 we will assume, in case of ME1 we will assume that compression phase will be on top and tension phase will be on the bottom. But in case of ME2, if we are supposed to find out ME2 also, then there are chances that our beam may get under mode failure 1 or mode failure 3. So that is why we have to take care of those modes of failure. That is why we have to consider ME2 effect also. Now, talking about the transverse reinforcement. So till now we have discussed about the longitudinal reinforcement. Now we will talk about the transverse reinforcement. So the formula related to transverse reinforcement you can access from this clause. So in the transverse reinforcement, generally we provide stirrups. Generally we provide two-legged closed loops stirrups enclosing the corner longitudinal bars. So the role of stirrup is also to hold the longitudinal bars. Now, what should be the spacing of the stirrups? So spacing and cross-sectional area and other factors, we can calculate this with this relation. So this relation, this formula is given in this clause, so you can refer to this formula. And in this formula, TU is the torsional moment, SV is the spacing of stirrups, B1 D1 that I will show you in the diagram, and Fy is the yield strength of steel, and ASB is the cross-sectional area of the legs of stirrups. So now if you look at this figure, in this figure you can see the red dots are showing the tension reinforcement and green dots are showing the compression reinforcement, and the pink bar is actually showing the stirrups, and center to center distance of green and red bar, it is known as D1. Similarly, center to center distance along the width of beam, it is B1. Now what is X1, what is Y1, that we will see next. Now also when we are able to find out spacing with this relation, we also need to check minimum spacing requirement for the based on the IS code. So IS code also have recommended that the spacing of reinforcement shall not be less than the following. Sorry, not spacing, the value of ASV. ASV should be more than this value. So ASV can be calculated with this formula, but the value of ASV so provided should also confirm this relation also. So as I said, ASV should be more than or equals to this value also. Then only we say that the spacing that we have provided for the stirrups is sufficient. So these are the terms that I have discussed here: TU, VU, SV, B1, D1, center to center distance between corner bars. Fi is the characteristic strength of the stirrup reinforcement. So in the next part, we will continue our discussion about the IS code recommendation. Thank you.